What's up everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about why I quit caffeine for a year. Before I get started, I want to let you guys know that I am not a medical professional. I'm not saying this is good for you, this is bad for you. I'm not on either side. I know there's benefits to why it's good for you, and I know there's reasons why it's bad for you. But for me, this is just my personal experience, and this is what I got from it. And growing up, like in high school, I would notice that my friends would have a Rockstar or a Red Bull here and there. And for me, it was just something I never really want to reach for. First of all, I didn't really like the taste of them. And second of all, I just felt like I was kind of scared, honestly, to know how it really made me feel. Like I felt like I was gonna have a heart attack. I already had enough energy to begin with. I can't imagine having an energy drink at the time. So for me, it was something that I never really reached for. I would have a Frappuccino here and there from Starbucks, and even then, like, it made me feel too anxious. So like I was like, it's not for me. I like the taste of the Frappuccinos, don't get me wrong, but caffeine was just something that I didn't want to deal with. Until I started working long hours and I started going out a lot more once I turned like 21, and I started going out a lot more with my friends, that I started noticing me reaching for the energy drinks a little bit more, because I felt like I needed to be more alert the next day, and energy drinks were giving me that mental focus that I needed to, especially after going out the night before and then just doing stupid things as a kid. So that's where it all began. For the next couple of years, I would have an energy drink here and there. Never really had an issue with them. Even after working long hours, it was just kind of like a thing that I would reach for once in a while. It wasn't until I started working at UPS, and I'm not blaming UPS for this at all, but it's not until I started working there that I started noticing myself, grabbing energy drinks every single day. UPS is a very physical demanding job, and we're working long hours. You're usually kind of tired at the end of the day, so you're kind of reaching for a little bit of extra energy, something more motivating to keep you going. Especially when you first start working at UPS. For any of you guys that have worked at UPS, you guys know that your first couple of years, you're kind of like a slave there. You're picking up the slack for everybody else. There's no way you're going to be getting off anything earlier than 9 o'clock at night. So this is where I'm supposed to walk to get the packages, and yep, can't really get in through there. So for me, that's when the energy drinks started picking up a lot more. When I first started working at UPS, I was living in Sunnyvale at the time with my wife, and my commute was literally to San Jose, which was 10-15 minutes down the freeway. It was easy, it was fun, no complaints. A year after living in Sunnyvale, something really dramatic happened. My wife ended up getting diagnosed with thyroid cancer for the second time, but this time she was pregnant with our first son, Noah. So we knew that this was a little more serious. Things changed, and we knew we had to move back home. And back home meant back into the Central Valley, which is now 2 hours away from where I'm working at in San Jose. Both agreed that this wasn't gonna be an easy task, but I didn't want to quit my job. I knew that I could handle it, so I said, you know what, I'm gonna stick to the job, I'll make the commute. So now my commute went from 10 to 15 minutes, from 2 hours to 3 hours sometimes, depending on how bad traffic was. This is around the time that my energy drink and caffeine intake went from, a regular cup of coffee in the morning or an energy drink in the morning to 2 energy drinks, and then 3 energy drinks, and sometimes even 4, depending on how tired I really felt. This lasted for like about 6 months. I didn't see any issue with it. I thought it was just normal. I've seen a lot of people do it. I was like, oh, this is, it's just energy drinks, not a big deal. I knew they were bad for you, but in my head, I was like, I need this to get to work, make money for my family, and just, provide. So I felt like the need was more important to me than my personal health. So now let's get to why I stopped. So after drinking, this many energy drinks throughout the day, I started noticing that on my days off, I was craving those energy drinks at the same time that I was taking them when I was at work. Even though I wasn't doing anything physically demanding, I could have been sitting on the couch, I could have been doing anything that was just relaxing, but I felt the need to still drink those energy drinks those days. Like, I was still having 3 to 4 energy drinks a day, even when I was at home just chilling. Even on my vacation, it didn't matter. I was still having that those amounts of energy drinks throughout the day, and I couldn't figure out why. I was like, man, this is horrible, because I knew that if I didn't take them, I felt like headaches, I felt body aches, I felt exhausted, I felt moody, and it was just a horrible feeling. At this point, I knew that I was having a real addiction to caffeine. What I did now was I just stopped drinking energy drinks on my days off. I didn't care how I felt. I knew that I needed to stop. So I started, stopping my energy drinks throughout the weekend, but I was still having those energy drinks during work. And I knew that my addiction was getting worse because I knew that my side effects and my withdrawals were getting worse at the same time. Move forward down like 3 months after that happened. I remember having my energy drink that I usually had around 11 a.m. and I noticed myself feeling a little off. I had to go to the bathroom right away after having the energy drink. I was like, okay, well, it happens sometimes, so whatever, didn't make a big deal about it. But throughout that whole day, I'm not lying to you that I probably went to the bathroom over 30 times. Everything that I drank that day, water, anything, it was just going straight through me. As soon as I drank it, 5 minutes later, I was going pee. And it was becoming really, really like scary because I didn't know like, hey, like, why is this happening? What can I do? And I started kind of searching and there was really no answers. I was working, so I couldn't really take that much time to really focus on that. So my only goal was to finish my route and get out of there. I spoke to my supervisor. I told him what was going on. He said, just make sure you get it done and then you can head home. Don't worry about helping anybody else. But if you can just finish this for us, you'll be okay. It wasn't till the end of my day. We usually do like the UPS store pickups. We pick up all the packages that people dropped off. I was doing my daily nightly pickup and I noticed that I had to go to the bathroom again. And I was really scared because I already had gone, so many times, but I couldn't hold it anymore. I was like, I need to go. So finally I went, and I noticed that this last time that I went, after I got done, I got really, really dizzy. Like I felt like I was gonna pass out and faint. I got really, really hot. I had to hold on to the wall a little bit and just kind of sit there. Traumatic for me. So I got back into the truck and I was, almost having like a panic attack. And I called my wife and she noticed right away that there was something wrong. And she just told me like, relax, what do you want to do? And I said, honestly, I don't know what to do. I don't know if I should go to the emergency room. I don't know, like I'm stuck. And she's like, well, look, calm yourself down. If you can, drive yourself to a CVS or something and get yourself a Pedialyte. Maybe having some of those electrolytes and everything that's in it, maybe it'll help you retain some of that in there. So I went to the CVS store, was calming myself down. And then that was it. Like I went home. Throughout the drive home, I did stop a couple times to go to the bathroom, but it was definitely not as bad as it was when I was at work. So I decided to call in to work the next day and I said, you know what, I need to go to the emergency room. I want to make sure that everything's fine, that there's nothing funny going in there. So I went to the emergency room, they ran tests, they did scans, and the doctor said, everything seems fine. All your blood work came back really good. You seem healthy. I don't see why that was happening. So he just kind of asked me about what my daily life is. And I just told him, I've been stressing about this and, just different stuff in my life. Never really had that kind of stress in my life to begin with, but now everything hit me at once. I was drinking tons amount of caffeine to stay awake, and the caffeine was my fix. Like it was what I needed to feel better. And he said that could have been a huge reason why everything was happening. He said that maybe I was having like, I don't know, she said maybe my nervous system was breaking down and it's all kind of attached. Some people experience this kind of things. And I didn't know how to react to that because it was almost like he was telling me it was all mental. And for me, I was like, no, this is physical. I can see myself going to the bathroom. Like it's not mental, like this is actually happening. I never really put, things together like that at the time. So it was a really scary thing for me to think about, but I was like, okay, well, at least everything came back to normal and that's that. But for the next couple months, I was still doing the caffeine intake but I cut down a little bit, but I started noticing myself having more and more anxiety, especially after what happened. Every time I would go to the bathroom, I'd get scared feeling that I was gonna get that feeling again, or why is this happening to me? And I just started putting like worst case scenario on everything. And the only thing that would make me feel better was drinking caffeine. And it was just a horrible experience. I was just going through some really, really dark times. and I didn't know how I was gonna get better. So throughout this whole time, my anxiety got really, really bad. Like, it went through the roof. Like I said, worst case scenarios about everything. I thought there was something seriously wrong with me. I didn't know how I was gonna get better. I felt like I wasn't even there with my family a lot of the times. You know, I would come back from work and all I can think about is like what was going on in my body, and I didn't know what I was gonna do, and I couldn't even play with my son. I just felt like I wasn't even there. Like everything was just, you know, I was like blocking everything off. I just wanted to get to the bottom of this. This is when I came across a video of Tony Robbins. In case you guys don't know who Tony Robbins is, he's an author, he's a motivational speaker, he's a life coach, he's somebody who I honestly thrive to be one day. Because this specific video, he was talking about addictions and how people overcome addiction by changing their identity, by changing their way of thinking and the way of living, and putting those things in the past and telling yourself that you're not that person anymore. Like, don't worry about how long you've stopped for, worry about your life ahead of you, and just really think about yourself not being that person anymore that needs that in their life. But I seen it as like easier said than done. I mean, it's harder to like think about all those things and put it in the past when you're having all these issues happen at the same time. But I knew that if I wanted to get myself better, I needed to take matters into my own hands, because I knew the doctors were just gonna try to prescribe me something to get my mind off of it, and I just didn't want to deal with any medication to begin with. So I knew that I wanted to get to the bottom of this myself, because I knew this was mental, and I knew that I was strong enough to get through it. I just didn't know how. In one of his videos, he explained how he got this man from stop smoking by making him have a traumatic experience while smoking. So he made him smoke so much that the guy said, I don't want to do this anymore, I don't want to smoke anymore. And the guy moved on from that. You know, he ended up putting that stuff in the past, and he had such a traumatic experience with smoking that he didn't want to smoke anymore. So I was like, well, I kind of had that experience with caffeine. I've had these really bad issues, and I've really had that really bad experience that one day that I didn't want to deal with caffeine at all anymore. I said, this is not a way of life. This is not a way for me to live. Nothing should be controlling me like that, especially after it's harming my body the way that it is. I decided to just completely, you know, go cold turkey on caffeine. I was like, you know what? I don't need this. I don't want this. This is not define who I am. This is not who I am anymore. And I decided to just completely stop it. The next 3 months after that were the toughest times of my life. Like, the stuff that I went through mentally, were physically as well, were just overwhelming. I had so many issues with my anxiety. I had so many issues with just the way I felt, being present with my kids, with my wife. Everything was just feeling like there was no way of getting better. I was having really bad withdrawals. I had headaches, I had body aches, I had extreme fatigue, like to the point where I couldn't stay awake. Like on my days off, I would just be sitting on the couch and I would just legit pass out from just being so tired, overwhelmed. I started noticing myself just not even look the same anymore. I didn't care. Like, all I wanted to do was get better, but I felt like there was no solution. This time I felt like God sent me a gift again. First it was Tony Robbins, and now he sent me Joe Dispenza. In case you guys don't know who Joe Dispenza is, an author, he's a chiropractor, he's a scientist who cured himself after having a severe accident happen to him. He was told he was no longer going to be able to walk again, and he ended up healing himself through meditation. Specific video, he was on a podcast with Jay Shetty, and he was speaking about meditation and how meditation has cured people from anxiety, from depression, and how to manifest things and just to cure yourself from a lot of traumas that we've had in our lives. I started really looking into meditation. I didn't know how I was going to do it, because for me, it's already hard enough to sit down for 10 minutes doing something, and then to sit down and do nothing, literally just sit there and just be in your thoughts for 10 minutes was going to be hard, let alone an hour, because his meditations go that long. So I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew that I was onto something here after hearing people talk about it, and I just felt like, hey, this is something that I really have to give it a chance, because I feel like it's going to be the cure for my stress, my anxiety, and the way that I feel. So for that whole year, before I went to work, I was waking up at 4 in the morning to do my meditations. I wrote down everything that I was going through my head. I mean, every single thing on my notes, just how I felt, the thoughts that I was having in the morning, all that kind of stuff that you can think of. Really, really dark things that I can think of that were still written on my phone till this day that are on there. And I would write it all down. And then I would go into this state of meditation where I would just try to clear my mind and just put my thoughts in order and just really feel gratitude, because that's the point of meditation, is to feel gratitude and feel that state of abundance, because that's when you feel the best. I really want to get into much into meditation. I can talk about that on another video. But for that whole year, I was doing meditations. I was, listening to Tony Robbins and finding a way of living my life and just putting my word out there and kind of just, feeling more gratitude, feeling more, appreciative for everything that I have in my life, my kids, my wife, and just putting all that together and just feeling better throughout the day. After maybe 6 or 7 months of not having caffeine, I started noticing myself just feeling less and less tired. I can't believe it took that long, but like my withdrawals started going down dramatically. I mean, even those in the 6 or 7 months, I still had those days where I was like, oh my God, I really wanted it. I wanted to go back and just, see what would happen if I took another drink of caffeine. But I was seeing major progress. I was seeing myself just feel more and more alive, feel more and more energized. I didn't have those days where like every single day I felt like I needed something like that. But after like a year of not having energy drinks and just implementing Tony Robbins and implementing meditations and Joe Dispenza in my life, I honestly could say that there's not one day that I'm like, oh, I want to have an energy drink. Like, that's completely gone. Like, there's not a little bit of me saying like I want to reach for that energy drink anymore. Like, I even tell my wife, because she still has energy drinks here and there, and I tell her she can't have them at the house because of me. Like, I know that I'm physically strong enough and mentally strong enough to not reach for them anymore. Like, I have no desire to have an energy drink at all. Like, caffeine for me is done. Like, I feel so much more alive, so much more energized. I don't feel that grogginess. I don't feel that need to like want it. No more headaches. All that is gone. I'm really thankful that I was able to go through all this stuff that happened to me, honestly, because how can I say, like, it really helped me rejuvenate my life, really see my life in a different lens, instead of just going to work, drinking the energy drinks and just feeling like money and work was all I needed in my life to feel better. And it wasn't. For me, it was going down to that low in my life to where I found myself spiritually through meditation, through watching Tony Robbins, through watching Joe Dispenza, to where I am now, like so calm and at peace with myself. And I don't think I would have ever got to that if I didn't go through all this mess that I went through in my life. Myself just really enjoying the process of getting better, and it got me to where I am now, and I'm not saying I'm completely healed from whatever's happened in my life, but slowly but surely I put all the pieces together and I'm building myself up from the ground up again, to the point where I feel like the best version of myself, and I'm still getting better, honestly. Like, there's no stop for me, and it feels really good to come out here and just tell you guys this, because it's something that really, really haunted me for a while. I told my wife, and she knew most of it, but she didn't know how really bad it got, like mentally. There was a lot of bad moments in my life that I couldn't believe that I was even going through. But I seen the best of it, and I've learned so much for myself from that. And just, I don't know, there was something just always telling me like, keep moving. Like, something always told me to like, you're gonna get through this. And with a lot of support from my wife and my family, I just felt like I got through this. But it was an amazing accomplishment for me, especially this whole finding myself spiritually and doing meditations, and how I feel now, incorporating cold plunges and doing stuff like that, challenging myself every single day and putting new challenges, like every month, and seeing myself achieve these challenges and seeing myself reach these goals, and seeing that momentum has just changed the way that I seen things, and just appreciating every single thing that I do, especially like the process of everything. I used to do everything very rushed and very like not happy about it. It could have been something easy as like doing a barbecue. I'm always like, oh, I gotta set this up, and then I gotta put this in there, and then everything was just always like a hassle for me. And ever since I started doing meditations and stuff like that, I noticed that like you have to live in the present moment, and you got to just admire and appreciate the present moment. Like don't think about the past, because that doesn't define you. Those are just mistakes that you've made, and you learn from that. You are who you are now. And stop worrying about the future so much. Have goals and have things that you want to accomplish, but don't put so much emphasis on being scared of the future. Just put things in front of you like that, to the point where when I'm doing a barbecue now or doing anything that I'm doing, I'm like, oh, this is fun. Like, find something about it that makes it fun for you and appreciate it more, because just like that, things are gone, man. And you have to enjoy those times with your family and everything else. So for me, like incorporating these things in my life and getting rid of caffeine and seeing how much better I feel without it, my energy, my happiness, honestly, is a lot better than when I was on energy drinks. So for that reason alone, it gets to my last question, and it's like, will I ever have caffeine again? And no, I'm not. It's just not something that I want to go back to. It's just something I don't need. I'm happy where I am now. I'm happy to see myself another year, 2 years, and just not even have to worry about anything else about that. Like, it's a part of my past. I went through it. I accomplished whatever I needed to accomplish with that. But I'm happy where I am now, and I'm just excited to see what the future holds for me with this. But I just wanted to put this video out there because I know some people out there struggle with addictions, and for me, I didn't think it was an addiction until I started noticing all the effects that came with it. I'm not saying caffeine is bad for you. I'm not saying it's good for you. I'm not a doctor. I'm just saying this is my personal experience with it. I feel like it was more for like a drug for me that caused everything to spiral out of control like that. But there's always a cure, and there's always ways to get better. If you guys have any questions, concerns, if you guys didn't like the video, if you guys liked the video, leave a comment, please subscribe, and let me know what you guys think about this. And if you guys like this kind of content, if you guys want me to talk about something else, please let me know. And yeah, thank you and have a good day.